Good afternoon. Welcome to Gimpy's History Corner. I'm called Gimpy by these two guys, Ellis and Archie. Took this picture at the Indianapolis airport, getting ready for our trip to New York City. They did a great job flying on the plane and walking around New York City. Great job. Good job, boys. Okay, this is video number 79 on the Scopes monkey trial. And it's from a book, The Best American Essays of the Century, edited by Joyce Carol Oates and Robert Atwan. The essay I selected was called The Hills of Zion by H.L. Mencken. Mencken went to Dayton, Tennessee to observe the crazy things that were going on there with the Scopes monkey trial, and he wrote back to his newspapers, and I'll talk about him a little bit at the end. But what was the Scopes monkey trial? Lasted from July 10th to 21st in 1925 in a little town called Dayton, Tennessee, and became a national debate between science and religion. This is 1925. John Scopes was a high school science teacher there who had violated the Butler Act, which is a Tennessee law that prohibited teaching human evolution in public schools. The Butler Act in Tennessee. Most southern states had similar laws in the 1920s. Scopes agreed to be the defendant in a test case orchestrated by local leaders and the ACLU to challenge the law's constitutionality. The key figures: the defense attorney of John Scopes was Clarence Darrow, who was one of the most famous defense attorneys in the United States. And somehow, rather than the local prosecuting attorney, they brought in a bigwig named William Jennings Bryan, a three-time presidential candidate and a devout Christian, served as the prosecutor. So I don't know how that worked. I guess the prosecutor was there, but William Jennings Bryan did all the talking. He served as the symbol of religious fundamentalism. So there was a cultural clash. The media sensation, often dubbed the monkey trial, because Darwin's theory of evolution was that man evolved just like the apes did. So it's kind of like apes were our ancestors. So fundamentalist Christians did not accept the evolutionary theory. They went strictly by the Bible's Adam and Eve, and God created the world in 6 days. And the earth was only, 6,000 years old or something like that. So H.L. Mencken was a journalist for the Baltimore Sun and co-founder of the American Mercury, which was a satirical magazine which kind of made fun of people like these fundamentalist Christians. The American Mercury, it doesn't exist anymore. Mencken is the one who came up with the term monkey trial. He was a fierce critic of religious fundamentalism, seen as anti-intellectual. The religious fundamentalists were seen as anti-intellectual and regressive. He described Dayton as a town full of sickening surges and tremors of doubt and mocked the local boosters for their naivete. He portrayed William Jennings Bryan as a mountebank, which is a charlatan or a fraud, and lamented the influence of Homo neanderthalensis, yikes, on American life. He left Dayton early, disillusioned by the spectacle and Bryan's performance. I'm going to read a little bit to you from H.L. Mencken's article. It was hot weather when they tried the infidel scopes at Dayton, Tennessee, but I went down there very willingly, for I was eager to see something of evangelical Christianity as a going concern. In the big cities of the Republic, despite the endless efforts of consecrated men, it is laid up with a wasting disease. The very Sunday school superintendents taking jazz from the stealthy radio shake their fireproof legs. Their pupils moving into adolescence no longer respond to the proliferating hormones by enlisting for missionary service to Africa, but resort to necking instead. Even in Dayton, I found, though the mob was up to do execution upon Scopes, there was a strong smell of anti-denomination, well, I don't know what that word is, antinomianism. The 9 churches of the village were all half empty on Sunday, and weeds choked their yards. Only 2 or 3 of the resident pastors managed to sustain themselves by their ghostly science. The rest had to take orders for mail-order pantaloons or work in the adjacent strawberry fields. One I heard was a barber. So he's basically saying that Dayton, Tennessee isn't as religious as it claims to be. Okay. Judge John Ralston of the case limited the defense's ability to call expert scientists, and Darrow got around that by reading their affidavits into the record. Darrow called Bryan to the stand as a Bible expert, and Bryan accepted, being confident that he could withstand the cross-examination of Clarence Darrow. It became quite emotional and a rhetorical climax, questioning biblical literalism. The trial was broadcast on the radio, and the courtroom was packed every day with people outside listening to it on loudspeakers. Scopes was found guilty, was fined $100, but the verdict was overturned later on a technicality. So it was kind of anticlimactic. It didn't go to a Supreme Court or anything. This was the only trial. And that law remained on the books until 1967. Yikes. And in the movie, the actor playing William Jennings Bryan got really upset during the cross-examination, and he had kind of a semi-heart attack there in the courtroom. Well, that was a little bit dramatic because William Jennings Bryan, the real person, died 5 days later after the trial was over of a heart attack. So they portrayed that. The movie was called Inherit the Wind. Spencer Tracy was Clarence Darrow, and Frederick March played William Jennings Bryan, though they made up new names for these 2 actors. They really, for some reason, maybe they couldn't do that. I'm not sure why. So the movie's called Inherit the Wind. H.L. Mencken was the skeptical journalist who went to observe what fundamentalist Christianity was like. He was disappointed that they weren't more crowded into the churches as he thought they would be. And he was certainly disappointed in William Jennings Bryan and the judge in the case. The movie's pretty good. It's an old black and white movie. Spencer Tracy does a good job. Frederick March kind of overacts, I think. But William Jennings Bryan, like I said, was a three-time presidential candidate, so he was a big deal. He never won, but he was always on the ballot. I think this was set up by the ACLU. John Scopes kind of wanted this. It wasn't like he was an innocent teacher. I think he kind of collaborated with the ACLU, say, hey, I'm going to teach evolution so we can get a trial going here. I think that's what happened, which is fine if they want to do that, but he didn't win his case, and the law stayed on the books until 1967. So the thing is, we kind of have a return to that fundamentalism in politics today with the Trump administration and the Supreme Court. So if we had a Scopes monkey trial today, I'm not sure how it would turn out if it made it to the Supreme Court. Trump would probably tell him to rule against the monkeys, and they do whatever he tells them to do. Not good. Okay, that's video number 79, Scopes monkey trial. Thank you.